What's up, ProGuides family? How are you guys doing today? My name is Nathan Ng, and today we're going to be going over the most common reasons and why you might feel that your aim sucks, and also how to fix those reasons. This guide is directed at people that are practicing their aim but still feel like they're not really improving, or maybe just not improving as much as they'd like. If you're not practicing your aim just yet, we'd recommend you guys also watching the Ultimate Aiming Guide, how to win every duel and hit the first shot, as well as 5 insane community maps to become a pro at CSGO. These both feature some good ways to get started at aiming. This video will also help you guys get a good idea of what you expect once you start practicing. But once again, today's main focus will be on breaking through the struggles that you might come across. Anyway, before we get into all of that though, it's time for a question of the day. Today's question being, what do you prefer, practice against real players or bots? Personally, I'm a big fan of deathmatching since I feel like it is a lot of fun, but I also think that practice against bots is oftentimes more efficient. Let's get to the first and most likely reason as to why your aim might be suffering, and that's bad crosshair placement. Crosshair placement is likely the most important skill a Counter-Strike player must learn, at least when it comes to mechanics. Who wins and loses fights oftentimes comes to who has the better crosshair placement. Sure, on a pro level, it might come down to whether someone has perfectly popped flash without even the slightest chance of being able to shoot back accurately, but more likely than not, I'm willing to bet that you're probably not a pro player yet. Let's start off by talking about what crosshair placement is and why it's so important that it ultimately comes back in every single aiming video. Crosshair placement is when you place your crosshair in tactical position so you can use the raw aim less. In games like Counter-Strike or Valorant or any other FPS games with very low time to kill, it's not about aiming but rather about aiming as little as possible. Since in CSGO you can watch out opponents with a lot of guns as long as you're aiming at the head, it's fair to say that a lot of the times fights really comes down to who fires first. Okay, so now that you've placed your crosshair in a tactical position, what does that mean in a real game? Well, that's actually quite simple. All you want to do is have your crosshair at either an angle that you're about to peek at headshot level, or where the opponent's head will show up if you're instead holding an angle. Of course, this could slightly change in some situations. For example, if you know that your opponent is very low on health, or if you're using an op in, that case you just want to aim for the center mass. The idea of crosshair placement and what it will result in when executed perfectly is that you'll have to do no aiming at all, or very little, because your crosshair will always be placed at an angle where the enemy's head will be at. For example, you're peeking an angle on Coffin's on Inferno. Your crosshair will be exactly headshot level on the player holding from there. That way, when they show their face, you could just shoot them in their face. Or if they're strafing, all you have to do is aim on the y-axis instead of also the x-axis. If the Coffin is clear and you instead want to place your crosshair for the player holding an angle from Fountain, then you want to put your crosshair on that angle from Fountain. It's pretty simple stuff, but it does take a lot of game experience and map knowledge to kind of get used to it. If instead you're not peeking an angle, but you're holding one, let's just say from Coffins for example, it's very important for you guys to hold your crosshair at exactly the headshot level at the angle where your opponent might be peeking. Please note that sometimes players don't peek at an angle that's super tight, but instead just swing out quite a bit, so you want to be holding out a little bit more of a widespread instead of the tightest peak ever known to mankind. I see a lot of people that are trying to incorporate good crosshair placement. Sometimes you guys are doing it wrong, especially in your angle holding. Oftentimes you guys are playing it way too tight like they would be peeking an angle. Unless you have the fastest reaction time in the world, I don't really recommend this. So make sure you don't fall into the trap of placing your crosshair too tight. If you really want to get a good idea of where your crosshair placement should be, just watch a clip of yourself holding an angle and see where you're able to react, as everyone's reaction times are a little bit different. A general rule that you'll probably want to have is to place your crosshair quite a little bit wider than you expect it to, especially when you're just learning the concept. Alright, I know that was a lot at once, but generally a lot of people either don't fully grasp or overestimate their ability to place their crosshair correctly. So if you're losing a lot of duels, it's most likely the reason that that's happening. So even if you think that you already know how to do it, make sure you take another good look at how your crosshair placement really is. Maybe even take a look at it with a coach at ProGuides.com. They wouldn't pay me to say that, but we do offer coaches there. If you've never tried coaching before, or even if it's been a while, I'd highly advise you guys check it out. I'm not even saying this because I work for them, I'm just saying this because it really does work. Enough of crosshair placement, let's go over to the next potential issue as to why your aim may not be as good as you like it to be, and that's panic. I know I do this sometimes too, and I play this game a lot, but one of the best ways to counteract this is by taking a deep breath. A lot of players struggle with staying calm, especially during tight games or important rounds. Sometimes our aim will let us down during most of the crucial moments in the game. That really sucks, but oftentimes it doesn't really have to do with bad aim, but rather panic. In another recent video of ours called 3 Bad Habits That Will Stop You From Climbing Episode 2, which is quite a mouthful, we actually already discussed it quite a bit. So give that a watch if you relate to this part specifically, but basically a lot of players kind of struggle with this. Of course, I'm able to hit a stationary target in the head, especially if he's not even looking my way, but I can still vividly remember some of those times where I just kind of miss. I'm afraid they're going to move, or just the intensity of the round kind of gets to me. Is it fair to say that my aim is so bad that I can't even hit those shots? No, of course not. I'm a global elite player, which I don't fail to mention in every other video. And even back then, I was level 10 on Face It, so clearly I'm somewhat decent at this game. But it did happen, and I did miss an easy kill and an easy shot like that. I also find it happening to me when I just see multiple enemies running towards my way, and they don't see me. I just kind of choke, you know? So if it's not aim, what reason is it? Like I mentioned before, it's just panic. A lot of players that are struggling with panic oftentimes don't even realize it, and that's what's holding them back. I know back then my solution to this was just practice my aim more and not just to let that free kill get away again. Practicing your aim more is, can never hurt, but it won't fix the issue. It wasn't until much later that I found that my aim wasn't so bad that I can't just hit those easy shots. In fact, I was hitting a lot harder shots without a problem, but it was just that I just started feeling a little bit anxious or panicky. I would even miss the easiest of shots. Luckily, I found a solution that I'm going to share with you guys that might be able to help you guys out. I used a method made by NATO Sapphics, which was to only have the Desert Eagle and only go for 1 Deeks in deathmatch to really stay calm and hit those shots. First, I would do this thing where I'd run with my head facing down, my audio set higher than normal, and get used to the feeling of the sound getting shot at without getting panicked. I know it might sound pretty ridiculous, but it's honestly pretty productive. And then afterwards, once I felt like I got fully used to that, I would just go on to the next simple but difficult exercise, which is using the Desert Eagle, aiming solely for the headshots, and then for each shot I miss, I have to type kill in the console. It's a little bit extreme, I know, but this really forces me to actively use my aim and then just ultimately help me just really train my calmness and not jump the gun and shoot before I'm 100% on target. This exercise will translate greatly into your competitive matches and will definitely help you make sure that you'll be hitting your easy shots and staying calm doing so. For the last potential reason that we're going to be going over in this video, we're going to be talking about some areas that are still weak. What we mean by this is that certain or multiple areas of your aim are just undertrained, and that's the issue causing your aim to not be as good as you want it to be. When that's the case, there's only one way to really go about it, and that's figuring out what area that your aim is truly holding you back in, and then just going back and establishing how you should practice that area. To optimally do this, especially since it can be really hard to tell what is going on, you might want to get another pair of eyes, and maybe we can provide you guys with that help with a coach. This one is kind of blatantly that I'm just trying to plug you guys to our amazing coaches. Whichever coach you do decide to choose, just ask them for help in figuring out why it is that your aim is not as good as you'd like it to be, and ask them to help you guys put together a practice schedule. I know this is just a game, but if you really do want to get better and if you do have fun and derive fun from winning, then maybe this is one of the best ways to do it. For example, if it's maybe your tracking that's holding you back and you're able to figure that out, then you can go ahead and just do some drills and work on that specifically. You don't really need a coach to figure this out, but it sure does help to have another pair of eyes. Also, one of the best ways to improve and notice that you're making mistakes is to be able to admit that you're making mistakes and that you're not perfect. Don't blame your teammates, because then, in that case, you won't really be able to self-improve and you won't be able to count out your faults. Well guys, that's going to be it for now. I know that this was a lot to take in, so don't be afraid to watch it back again once or twice. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and also ring that notification bell in order to never miss out on another ProGuides video again. Anyway, with that all being said, I'm really sorry if this video kind of came off as low energy. I'm actually making this video at 6 a.m. and I haven't slept yet, so please show me some grace. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are staying healthy. Stay awesome and have a wonderful day. Peace.